ситуацію у зоні проведення.
Now, the information about situation in the ATO zone, Ministry of Defense spokesman issues, Colonel Andriy Lysenko. Welcome. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Now, the information about the situation in the areas. In the Lugansk sector, here the enemy violated ceasefire in all parts of front line, from Stanitsa Luganska to Popasna region. In the majority of cases, shellings was sporadic. These were armored provocations. At the same time, the enemy continued to use heavy weapons against ADO forces. And in Troitska, Krymska, Stary Ardar, and near Shastia, the instances of the use of mortars were recorded. And also the enemy was aggressive in the Bakhmutska highway. Here, the enemy opened fire during dark hours. After midnight, it launched 3 mines and late in the evening opened disturbing fire at the direction of ATO forces. And after 11 p.m., the subversive group of the enemy, supported by sniper fire, went to the region of our positions near Novotoshkivka, and Ukrainian forces revealed the enemy and opened fire, and in several hours enemy attack was repelled. Unfortunately, 1 Ukrainian serviceman died in battle. And on the whole, during the last 24 hours in the Lugansk sector, the enemy violated ceasefire 16 times. The Donetsk sector, here the militants were active in 2 regions, near Svetlodarsk and in the region of Avdiivka. In the first, the occupants opened fire once. After 1 a.m., they delivered half-hour shelling with the use of small arms, including armored vehicles. And near Avdiivka, situation is more tense. In Kamenka, Avdiivka, Shavkta-Putivka position, part of front line, there were 5 shellings, all of them with the use of small arms, and they lasted from 30 minutes up to 1 hour each. Our forces returned fire. On the whole, during the last 24 hours in the Donetsk sector, there were 6 enemy shellings. The Mariupol sector. Here, the enemy continued to use heavy weapons in shellings of Ukrainian positions in Mariinsky region and in the south. Yesterday, at about 5 a.m., the enemy mortar squad opened fire at our positions near Krasnogorivka. And the enemy launched 12 mines, and then it was calm until the evening. At sunset, the enemy shelled the ADO positions in Krasnogorivka with the use of heavy weapons, and the enemy used mortars, and also the enemy used tank. In neighboring Mariinka, occupants opened fire at our positions in the evening when it was dark, and also residential quarters came under grenade launcher fire of the enemy. Fortunately, no casualties among civilians. Near the Kuchaevsk, ceasefire was ideal. And in south of this area, there were traditional places of shellings by the enemy: Pavla Pilganutova, Vadiane, and Shirokina. In all 3, the enemy used small arms and mortars, and the longest shelling for 2.5 hours and the highest intensity in this part of front line was in Shirokina after 8 p.m. The militants launched at our positions 15 mines and opened fire with the use of large caliber machine guns and anti-aircraft weapons. On the whole, in the Mariupol sector, there were 13 enemy shellings recorded. During the last 24 hours, in the result of the military actions, 1 Ukrainian serviceman died and 3 were wounded. As it was noted, our servicemen died in the attack of the enemy in the Bakhmutska highway. Our hearts go out to the relatives of the servicemen who died. In Kiev these days, SB officers detained a Russian spy. It was identified that he is the resident of Donetsk. He came to Kiev from time to time. He wanted to get information about military units and National Guard forces in the ATO zone. Also, enemy agent was interested in Sea Breeze 2017 training and foreign military assistance. This information he planned to get from former officer of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. At the same time, Ukrainian police officers detained 3 informants of the enemy in Volnovasky region of Donetsk Oblast. These are elderly woman and a couple who regularly informed the occupants about deployment and movement and number of Ukrainian forces in the aforementioned region. And the national legislation envisages for this type of activity the sentence up to 5 years in prison. In Eastern Territorial Unit of National Guard, they completed training for the best crews of armored vehicles. Guardsmen showed their skills in firing, use of small arms, and throwing of grenades. They used BTR 70 and BTR 4E. And also Sea Breeze 2017 international military training continued. The participants of the training, these are representatives of land forces, air forces, marine forces, and state border service and American army. They completed flies on the airplanes Poseidon, Mi-14, Mi-24, and Mi-8, and they also used Su-25. Also, they used the CV-24 airplane and imitated the destruction of targets with the use of MiG-29. And also they carried out evacuation using K-27. So this is free play regime that is used during this training. The students of the Institute of Marine Forces of the National University Odessa Marine Academy goes through the route Odessa, Charkiv, Nova Kakhovka, Odessa. The main topic of the training is the skills of navigation of small vessels, and at the same time they are play the role of navigators. And also there was a 4-day training for the crews of tanks in the northern territorial unit. These were 1st, 30, and 70 2nd Brigade, and they provide an individual training and coordination of the crews, and they had such tasks as tanks in offensive and tanks in carousel, so merry-go-round. And 30th Detached Mechanized Brigade won this contest. Do you have a question? Yes, about the casualties. So, we do not have the details about the night attack on our position, but due to the use of night vision devices, they were able to see this group that was coming, and our forces organized proper defense and repelled the enemy. Unfortunately, 1 serviceman died in this attack. And what about the wounded? These were in the course of shelling in Kamenska and one in Shirokino. If there are no other questions, thank you.